Do you remember a couple of months back when I was completely torn between design ideas and I just didn't know what direction to take? So I asked you guys, obviously. And as always, you absolutely saved the day. The design I was wrestling with is called Luna, and she is a heavily draped lampshade silhouette mini dress in blue Duchess satin. I was quite inspired by a few Givenchy pieces and also this Schiaparelli gown. And what I love about the Schiaparelli one is how the draping sort of like twists around the body, but I wanted to build that twist onto a more like a lampshade silhouette. And so I was also quite inspired by this particular Givenchy gown, where it had a more shaping to the skirt and the drape was following that shape. Now, while I had most of the design figured out, I was completely stuck on one major detail, which is the neckline. And obviously, like, changing the neckline on the garment would change the whole look of the garment. So I had three options. I had one with the bow, which was quite romantic. And then I had this high sculpted neckline, which was quite architectural. And then also I had just, which was actually the original design, where I just had like a plain bustier shaping. So I genuinely couldn't choose, so I just threw everything at you guys. And you spoke. The majority of people decided to go for the high sculpted neckline, and you know what? You were so right, because I just felt like it really spoke to the rest of the design, because it kind of like blends into this twist, which I think, resulted in a quite nice and interesting design. Oh, and by the way, if you're new here, my name is Henny, and this is Studio Henny's. And here is something exciting. If you didn't know, I started to share the patterns of my creations, including this mini gown that we are going to make today. So some of the patterns are sample size and then some of them are graded, but they all include a step-by-step sewing instruction, an overview of the construction and also the patterns. And some of them has a quite advanced draping tutorial as well. So I think it's worth checking it out. If you're interested, then the link is in the description. All right, lovely people, I think we should just dive in and bring Luna to life. Of course, I had to start everything with figuring out the shape. So as usual, I'm just going to drape everything on the dummy. And first I started with like a flat shape. And then I'm slowly going to adjust it by slashing into the fabric and just adding more fabric. So I'm just starting with a basic skirt, basically. I mean, this is slash and spread for you on the dummy. This is actually not going to be a skirt, it's actually going to be a dress, but first I need to figure out the skirt shape. Once I had my basic skirt, I just marked some side seams and just cut some excess away, and then I started slashing into the fabric. For me, this is the easiest way to see how much volume I should actually add to that skirt, so I would get the desired shape. This might not be the final shape, that I'm going to get, because I'm going to do some adjustments later, but I kind of wanted to have an idea of like how big I want this skirt to be. I didn't want it to be like whimsical, like too big, but I still wanted to have quite defined silhouette. So once I had it all, I just numbered my panels, because dress is gonna need a lot of seams, and started cutting my drape pieces up and eventually create a pattern so I could actually create a quick mock-up. And this is how our first skirt looks like. Obviously, I just added horsehair on the hem of the skirt so it would get to the desired shape. And I could tell already that I was not entirely happy. I think it was too shaped. It was too shaped for my taste. So I just started, adjusting at the seams, just taking the seams apart and adjusting and just taking the volume away where I thought it was a little bit too much. And of course, I had a rough silhouette, so I just thrown a little bit of fabric on top. So I could already see my idea that I have in my head and just trying to visualize it. Okay, so first look at the shape of things to come, let's just say. Obviously, it is going to be longer than it is now. So somewhere here, it's going to need like an extra 15, 20 cm or something like that. But I just wanted to like drape the fabric on top just to see, you know, how it looks like with the shaping. And obviously right now it's not properly done, so it's not holding the shape properly. But I think it's quite interesting. I like it, and it's also like it's not super big. I think when everything is like held properly, then it's okay. And also like this draping is going to be done with a lot more care and with a lot more thought than it is now. So it's literally just a piece of fabric on the top of this base. So I think it's a good start. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create a pattern, and I think I'm going to mock this up again in Clo, not the real thing, because I just need to do like little tweaks, and I don't want to create like another toile for the shape. So I'm just mock it up in Clo, and then hopefully I will get the fabric very soon. And so I can actually start, I can actually drape everything onto the actual base and go from there. Okay, so I quickly digitized everything, obviously. So I mocked it up in Clo, and I'm going to actually merge it together with an existing corset pattern that I have, which I'm actually sharing with you guys for free. So the link is in the description, so just grab it yourself. So I just merged those skirt pieces with my existing corset in Clo, and I'm just gonna get the right neckline and the right shaping on the front of the neckline as well. And also I had taken away a bit of volume. Once it was ready, I printed everything and started to prepare the pattern pieces. First, I'm going to stitch a half mock-up for the foundation layer. But before I can do that, I needed to figure out what material combo I want to use for my foundation garment. It's definitely going to have the crinoline layer, but I had two versions in mind. One of them was 2 layers of soft tulle and the crinoline sandwiched in between. So I stitched a piece with the boning and some horsehair just to see how it reacts. And the other one was just the shrinked fabric with the crinoline layer. So I compared the two so I can make an educated and informed decision. And then in the end, I decided to have the tulle version. So you have a layer of tulle, you have a layer of crinoline, and then you have another layer of soft tulle on top of it. I am only cutting half of that under structure because, you know, it might not work. But it's important for me to see this in the actual thing. I'm cutting only half, I'm gonna make half, and if it works, hallelujah, we have one half of the foundation garment ready. And if it doesn't work, then, you know, it's only half that goes to waste. Stitching the foundation layer is actually quite time-consuming because even though the pattern pieces are quite simple, all the materials and elements that go into it isn't. You have all the layers in the soft tulle and the crinoline that needs to be secured together, and you need to add the boning channels and the horsehair braid. Crinoline is not easy to work with because it's actually quite stiff and it's just in your face all the time. But then it was finally done, so I could actually see how the shape is going to work for this dress. I have already added a little bit of horsehair, just pinning it for now, just to see the silhouette better. Okay, so I have done half of this understructure in this crinoline and with the tulle, and I think I'm gonna go with this. Like I quite like how it is. It's you know, it's light, but it's gonna have like, you know, this necessary structure that we need under. Obviously, it needs a little bit more extra work. Like I think I'm gonna do some extra boning around here, but I'm gonna see this better when I actually have the other half, because right now it's collapsing. And the other thing I want to try is I don't know if you remember or if you watched my my Dior study of shape episode, where we had this like, little padding at the back to help, to help lift the fabrics. I'm thinking of, they actually do this for the bar jacket as well, for the Dior bar jacket. They have like a little pillow. So I'm thinking of having like a little pillow to help, give this a little bit of a bump. So I think I'm going to try that. But let's see when I have the other half and then it's not collapsing. Let's see what happens. Okay, well, just a little bit of a spoiler. I didn't do the pillow because sometimes I just have these ideas and then I never do them. But I guess I didn't need them in the end. So I've done the other half. You can see all the boning channels. So we can give a little bit shaping to the other half of our foundation dress as well. And of course, channeling boning in 30 plus degrees in the summer is an exercise in itself. So after I had everything together, I finally could see the whole shape of the dress. It's still missing like the boning of the hem and the horsehair braid. So, the hem would have this nice circular shape. But once it was done, I actually created a calico layer in the same shape because I wanted to create the drape on top. And this time I'm going to create the drape in calico and I'm going to take it off of the dummy and create an actual pattern for it. So I just started off with marking my grain lines on the calico. And once it was done, I actually just grabbed the fabric and just started to play around. The first thing I wanted to see is the neckline because I think that's like the most complicated part. And so I just wanted to see how I'm going to resolve it. I wanted it to look, like an effortless fold, but at the same time, I know that it's not that simple. So I just went ahead and had some fun with it. I tried different scenarios, different folds, but also when I'm draping like this, I always need to think about the construction. So as I'm draping, also I'm just, trying to figure out where this seam is going to get inserted. How is it going to be? But then finally it was taking shape and I already had the idea of how I'm going to create it. So I started to drape the lower drape, the twisting drape around the body. This takes a lot of time. So I would say I'm probably spending quite a few hours on this. Well, not like maybe a whole afternoon, but definitely a couple of hours at least on something like this. But it's like a flow when I'm draping. So I'm slowly going around and creating pleats around my structured shape. And I already know that this drape piece is going to have to be paneled. So the seams are going to be hidden in between these draped panels. So in the end, you're actually not going to see any seams on the dress, but they are going to be hidden in between the pleats. When I'm draping, I'm never scared about, what if it's not going to look good? Well, if it's not going to look good, I'm going to take it off and just start again because that's the process and you need to trust the process. So we're finally getting to the stage, but one thing I wanted to figure out is the center back. I needed a zipper at the back, which is actually going to be cleverly hidden behind the pleat. So again, you are not going to see any seams on the dress. Once I was happy, I just had a thought, sometimes I need to sit down and think and just look at the garment and just literally I'm looking at every aspect of it, whether I like this pleat or that pleat, whether I like the angle of how, a pleat is going on the body and if it makes sense. Even when something is like asymmetrical or looks messy, it still has to make sense, at least for me. When I decided that I like how the dress looks, I started to mark, some details, like, for example, the fold lines on the pleats, and also marking each line and annotating it as a fold line, so I don't want to get confused. And also, marking notches and maybe some letter marks to match the pleats and things like that. With a complicated drape like this, the more detail, the better. After marking all the details, it was ready to become a pattern, so I started tracing my drape pieces. With draped pieces like this, you have to keep track of things, because as soon as you take it off the dummy and you don't have the necessary marks, you're just lost. So you need to make sure that you transfer all the info that you marked while it was on the dummy. So when it comes to creating the actual pattern, you know what you're doing. I was ready to cut, but first I wanted to cut the neckline drape because I think that was something still like a question mark in my head. So I just really wanted to see how it's going to stay up and what I'm going to do with it. And I wanted to try something in the neckline drape because that needs to stand up. So first I tried a stiff tool that I would sandwich in between layers because the neckline drape has 2 layers of fabric. And so I wanted to try that, but in the end, I actually didn't like how it felt. So obviously I just had to unpick the whole thing. And in the end, I actually just resorted use a piece of horsehair braid in the right hand side of the drape, which is not going to be visible. It's hidden in between the layers. And guys, this is my favorite pleat in the whole garment. Literally, I love it. It's so nice. So moving on, I had just finished the foundation dress, which I'm just pulling through the structure. It already has the neckline drape inserted into the seams, and that's the only panel that's getting inserted into any seams. But obviously, I need to kind of help it with my hands, and it's going to need some hand stitches, as per usual. You cannot get out of this without the hand stitching. And a little peek at how the shape looks like when it's actually in the real fabric. So all I had left to do is stitch together all my drape panels. It has little elements, for example, at the center back. So I have some pin hems going on, some panels are attached, and some are just have a little gap. Oh, and if you're wondering what happened to the background, I actually rearranged my living room, which is where I work. During this video, I also took a little bit of holiday. I had a haircut and I rearranged my living room. So now I'm just back at it. I really didn't like the arrangement of my previous one, so I just had to do it after my holiday. Anyway, I'm just arranging the pleats on the drape panel and making sure that I'm, following the pattern and all the pleating. I do have some excess on both ends of my drape panels, so I have a little bit of a playing room, because eventually when I drape it around the dummy, I might need to, kind of shift things here and there. So it's good to have a much bigger seam allowance than you would normally have. Because this is not going to get inserted. It's going to get actually, turned inside of the garment and then later just covered with some grosgrain. So the only thing left to do is to arrange the drape panels on the foundation garment. And of course, a lot of hand stitching, because all these pleats needed to be secured by hand. I used my sleeve ironing board to hold the shape of the dress. I could have used maybe a pillow in hindsight, but at that moment, this seemed like the best option.